I'm Carl Anthony, and welcome to InCabin, the groundbreaking new event and community from Sense Media, the creators of AutoSens. InCabin supports the knowledge and connections for automotive in-cabin technology specialists across the globe. One of those specialists joining us today is Peter Tiberg. He's the head of the automotive segment for Tobii. And Peter, welcome to AutoSens and welcome to InCabin.
Thank you very much, Carl.
So for those of us who may need a refresher or who are not familiar with Tobii, can you give us an overview of the company and tell us about some of the work you're doing today?
For sure. As we're the new kids on the block here a little bit in driver monitoring, I think it's a relevant question. Tobii has since about 21 years been the world leader in eye tracking as well as in attention computing. We're about 650 people with a headquarters in Stockholm. And we offer both integration solutions like our DMS system, as well as end user products to get the deeper understanding of human behavior. As an example of integration products outside of our DMS system, you can find companies such as Lenovo, Sony, HP, Dell, who's already integrated our solutions into their products. And if we're looking in more the end-to-end products that we're offering for deeper understanding of human behavior, we have 99 of the 100 top universities in the world using our eye trackers to understand both, understanding children's psychology, to understand how a user is behaving when they're looking at something new, to understand how you can actually facilitate for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's diseases to diagnose them with the use of eye tracking. And then in 2019, we decided that we should actually join into the driver monitoring space, and we decided to develop our own driver monitoring solution. And the InCabin event in Brussels on the 15th of September will be our first public event where we're showing off our technology. And so I'm super excited to go there. It's going to be a great event for us. Our car is going to be there. Everybody's going to be able to sit inside, try it out, and please give us your verdict.
Yeah, this is exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing, as you put it, the new kids on the block. Of course, you've been, though, for 2 decades, a global leader in eye tracking technology. So while you may be the new kids on the block, you are coming to automotive with a great deal of experience under your belt. So Peter, can you go into detail a little bit more? Let's talk about Tobii's eye tracking technology and software for in-cabin applications specifically.
Yeah, I mean, we took the decision and we said, okay, with the competence and domain knowledge we have in Tobii regarding eye and gaze tracking, we said, well, now when we have a legislative requirements for DMS, and with our domain competence, we said, yes, sure, this is a space where we need to be in. So what we did then was that we developed and we are developing a software library for camera-based driver monitoring. And we started that, as I said, then back in 2019. And what we looked at was that we saw that this technology now is designed for sort of the new generation of DMS to address more the going from sort of the high-end type of cars that currently is mainly using driver monitoring today, going into more the mass market that we see is coming now in 2024, 5, and 6. So I think join InCabin and you'll discover what we've done. We're very happy to show you.
And for our viewers, want to point them to the Tobii main website, tobii.com. That's tobii.com. If you go down about midway through, you're going to see on the homepage research and behavioral studies, education and training. There is a block for automotive. If you click on that, it takes you to the automotive business unit. You'll see names, very familiar names: Honda, Nissan, GM, Toyota, your customers, Peter. So let's talk about them. What are some of your customers' biggest challenges right now? And then, of course, how are you helping them solve those challenges?
Good question. Good question, Carl. Of course, coming in as a new kids here, we want to make sure that we address exactly that question. And I think for us, the main question was when we're moving, what needs to happen when we're moving from these more niche car builders into more the mass market, and we're seeing a reduction of the total DMS cost of ownership is going to be a driver for making sure that we can fit all these cars that need to be fitted with driver monitoring. it's not sustainable for an OEM to face a kind of a premium level cost to just solve the requirements for NCAP and GSR, the regulation in Europe. So I think that is maybe our most important question that we want to solve with our entry into the market. I think also, I mean, validation. It's always the topic when you talk about how to prove that your system is working. We are very happy in Tobii that coming down to InCabin in Brussels, we will be about 90% ready with our dossier for DMS that we can then deliver to our partners and customers, so they will pass through the validation. And that's a work that that's been ongoing in Tobii for the last half year. So that's important. And then maybe two other topics that comes to mind for me is we're coming a lot, having worked with, as I said, Sony's, the Acers and so on, delivering a lot of use cases for those type of customers. And I think the challenge is to link the use case with the performance requirements, and then also how to measure those requirements. And I might say when I started here 3 years ago in automotive, I see that it's lagging a little bit behind in terms of how do we actually define what performance is needed for that typical use case. Many times you just get them saying, we need this performance. And if we know why you need that performance, we can have so much more intelligent discussions with our partners and customers. Some of them we are having very intelligent discussions with, but I think that's important. And then I think the final one, and I think that's probably something that is not much spoken about, but I think DMS user acceptance and user, talking about the end user. When it starts becoming prevalent in cars around the world, how do we ensure that people do not get scared of having a camera monitoring them at all times? And this is something, again, we worked a lot on with the Acers and the Sonys of the world to make sure that there is a transparency and privacy policy in place to make sure that the users who are actually sitting there in front of the camera are sure that this data and this information is not used in any way that I cannot control. So I think, and that's not a discussion that we've started having, but I believe that the OEMs needs to start thinking about them. And I think Tobii can be a very good leader and direct, because we've had 5 to 10 years of experience in this field. So I think, to me, that would probably be my sort of top four challenges at the moment.
Yeah, and this is an excellent segue, Peter, to our next question here. You know, you mentioned data, privacy around that, but you know, this in-cabin conversation, it's one of the biggest, most important conversations today in automotive. So where do you see the industry heading in, say, the next 5 years? What are some of the trends that you see coming down the line, just building on what you just said before about some of your customers' biggest challenges?
Well, of course, and that's what everybody talks about, is the integration of DMS and OMS and sort of making that fly. Will it be able to fly with one hardware solution, or will it need separate optical systems, or how do we solve that? I think everybody talks about that. For me, I think maybe for me, the most important question is how do we ensure that the ADAS stack is consuming the DMS signal in the best possible way to create the best ADAS experience for the user. For the user driving and having a car drive him around, how do we make sure that ADAS and DMS works together? I think we want to make sure that level 3, level 4 autonomous driving will work superbly. And to say that just deliver us the GSR NCAP compliant DMS solution and we integrate that into our ADAS system, I don't think that will be the right solution. You have to have a much closer integration between driver monitoring, between the signal establishment and the signal actually consuming the signal. Those needs to work together to create the best ADAS user experience. So I think that part, to me, is probably the biggest sort of where we're heading and what we need to work on.
Yeah, indeed. The user experience behind the whole of ADAS. Yeah, absolutely. Peter, that's looking forward, but now rewinding slightly. What would you say are the biggest milestones for Tobii in the last couple of years? What are you most proud of?
Well, we haven't been around that long, but I would say, to me, it's, I mean, of course, a big milestone was when we took the decision that we should enter it, and I got the chance to start working with first a small team, and that team has grown over the years. But I think actually the biggest milestone was about a quarter ago. So in the end of Q1, the sanctions from COVID started lifting, and we had a solution that was ready at that time so that we could go out proudly and present it and demonstrate it to our partners and customers, both inviting customers to Stockholm, as well as taking our car down to the continent and showing our capabilities to customers and partners down there. It was a good fit because we've just been on Teams with all our partners, and it's good to know that Tobii actually have worked with automotive since 2013. And we've been out there talking to companies, but we never saw that strong demand for the use cases. But then we took the decision then in 2019 to move into the DMS industry. But we have a lot of competence in that. And finally, 2022 Q1, and there we could actually go out and show something that we find quite amazing. And I think our customers also responded very positively on there. We're not finally there yet, but there is still some topics to work on and so on. But we believe that we are in a very good position after that first feedbacks from our customers.
Peter, as the new kids on the block, what advantages do you have? What sets you apart? Why should companies work with you?
Good question, Carl. That's the question that my CEO and my board also asks me. So why should the OEMs and the tier ones work with Tobii? And I think we'll probably say it's three things. First of all, it's our technology. Back when we were able to start our DMS development on a blank paper, we could go out and investigate, okay, what is the market need? What do they actually need? Is it those, high-end, all kinds of features and functions, or what do we need to solve the GSR NCAP question? So together with the requirements, we also looked at the very latest computer vision technologies out there, and we could match them. And then with I think Tobii's world-leading expertise in eye gaze tracking, we were quite confident that we could solve core signals best in class. And with core signals, we talk about the eye gaze information, we talk about the head position, and we talk about the eyelid movements. So that's when we talk core signals. So we're sure that Tobii has the domain competence. We will be able to deliver on that. We did not, however, maybe have the deep competence needed in cognitive states, in drowsiness, stress, cognitive loads, that upper part of the stack, that utilizing the core signal. And luckily, we could solve this by acquiring Fascia, a Belgian company who'd been working 12 years with drowsiness, cognitive states, stress. And we believe they are also best in class in what they do. And that was exactly what we were missing in Tobii. So together with the Physio core from Fascia and our core algorithms for the core signal, we do believe that we have a sort of best in class complete DMS stack to deliver to partners and customers. And I think that's also going to the previous question in terms of why this milestone in Q1 and when we could go out and deliver. That was sort of our way of verify our choices and our decisions that we've been made during the development process and getting those verifications. Before we'd done that, we couldn't really know if we had made the right choices. But getting out there in March, April timeframe, it really verified that indeed our guys has made some really good choices in terms of technology choices. So technology being number one. And I think then number two, I would say total cost of ownership. That's really important. As I said, when we're moving from niche players, small car sort of programs into the larger mass market products that needs DMS, it's really important that we also follow through with lower cost of ownership for our customers. And that's of course not only about pricing of our algorithms, of our software. It's also about our software enabling lower spec cameras, lower spec compute solutions, to make sure that we can lower the cost on the hardware side. But it's also about not having to initiate huge, large integration programs to make sure that once you get the design win, you do not need to create a complete new data collection for a new camera or for a new camera position. our technology enables us to both change cameras as well as to change the position on the cameras without doing new large data collections for training purposes. And I think that's a quite unique position that we have. And that, of course, will help our customers to lower costs and reduce lead times for changes between models in the same program. Even if you're switching the camera like, a decimeter or 5 centimeters, you shouldn't have to do any new training data collections. That cost time, cost money. And you will be able to come and try that at InCabin in Brussels. Our car will be there inside, and it's always fitted with 3 different camera positions where we can seamlessly switch between the camera positions with the same algorithms to show you that we're delivering on our promise as well.
Well, again, we want to encourage our viewers to obviously visit you, Peter, in person at AutoSens in Brussels as part of our InCabin festivities. Also want to direct our viewers to the Tobii website, tobii.com. That's tobii.com. When you go to the homepage and you scroll down, you'll see a number of links: research and behaviorals, studies, extended reality, education and training, gaming as well, and then automotive. There's a section for automotive. If you click on that, you'll go to the automotive segment business page, which is what Peter has been talking about. You'll be greeted with a graphic that talks about the buyer experience, the production, the UX design, the research, the drive, which includes the in-cabin experience that we've been talking about here. So the website here for Tobii, just a wealth of information. And Peter, want to thank you for your time, for being with us, for sharing your expertise, and as the new kids on the block, for joining us. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Carl. It was a pleasure talking to you. And looking forward to seeing you. Are you joining the?
I will be there in person. In fact, just finishing up my flight arrangements and shipping arrangements and everything. So I'm bringing our display just as you are. So I will see you there.
Good, Carl. Looking forward to it.
For more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn. For more information on our world-class events and technical training, visit auto-sense.com/InCabin. That's auto-sense.com/InCabin. Ahead of meeting in Brussels and on behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.